I've been out of big tech for 30 days. As a TPM for over a decade, I'm used to building programs from 0 to 1 with risk mitigations. So I applied that same skill to my career break. In my last video, I posted about why I quit and my high-level goals. And in this video, I'm going to share my observations on what changed in my life versus what didn't during this time, what mechanisms I set up, and what I did when I felt like I hit a wall or when I just kind of felt lost. I'm going to answer, did I actually stick to the plan I had from day one? What worked and what didn't? I'm documenting this because I want to look back on this period and have something to show for it. So if you're planning your own break and have no idea where to start, this might be for you. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to talk about how to prepare financially, but I am an expert in creating systems for success. So that's what I'm going to dive into. So first, here's something that might be a bit unexpected. Most of my life is exactly the same. My child still goes to school, so my evening and morning routines are still the same. I still wake up at 6 a.m. because that's when she wakes up. And if you're a parent, you know that we haven't slept in for years. And I'm still a night person, and my inspiration still hits me at 10 p.m., and I hate getting up early. That's just who I am. I think the biggest lesson here was just to work with my biology and not fight it. I still have to get up at 6, but if I get inspired and get into my hyper-focused state after bedtime, then I let myself stay there. I still have to get up early, but I think that's a good thing because it stops me from sleeping in until noon. So there's some balance there. But even though my schedule looks pretty much the same on the outside, on the inside, things feel different. Like, what has changed is my mental state. I don't get triggered every time I read some headline about AI. And that's because I'm not invested in any of these debates around it. And I can just use it if it's useful and ignore it if it's not. And I don't have to justify it either way. It's actually so liberating. And in terms of mental bandwidth, I finally have the space to carry a single thought all the way to completion without getting interrupted. And between having a small kid and a job where there's like a million things going on, I realized that I hadn't had that in a very long time. So having time to think and focus is like so underrated. And you know what else is underrated? Naps. I can now take naps anytime I want without being stressed that I missed something important during work hours. I know my life won't be like this forever, but I'm enjoying this change for now. I generally feel more relaxed. So that's the update on my passive emotional state, but what's changed for me to execute on my actual goals? How have my actions changed? Jeff Bezos had said good intentions don't work, mechanisms do, and I think he based that on some use cases and historical studies, and I knew that just trying hard to be productive won't work during my career break. I needed a system. So I built 3 specific mechanisms to keep me on track for networking, progression, and reflection. So when you leave a job, you lose your network of people that you interact with on a daily basis. So I set up a free Calendly synced to my Google Calendar, and now it's super easy for people to set up time with me instead of going back and forth with them trying to find a slot that works for both of us. I'd highly recommend doing this, and I've already caught up with some people from my past that I loved connecting with. I also joined a networking group for women building with AI, and they have their own Slack group. And that fills the gap I have for a community that I can connect with every day. Women Defining AI is a nonprofit, and membership is $100 a year, which I think is worth it. And they hold virtual events and have education around AI, which has been perfect for my lifestyle and interests. The second mechanism I put in place was starting a 30-day challenge. And that's just a short-term commitment you make to yourself to do something specific for 30 days. And for me, I decided that last month's goal was to do at least 10 minutes of exercise or physical therapy a day. I hate exercising, no matter how fun I try to make it, because I can think of like a million other things I'd rather be doing. But exercise is just one of those things that you can't outsource, and AI can't do it for you. So the first week was really rough, but by day 30, which is today, I'm feeling a lot better about myself. And what was important for me about this challenge was to remember what it's like to be consistent and figuring out where in my day I could fit in time to exercise so that I can carry that with me into the future for when I go back to work. The third mechanism I put in place was reviving my bullet journal in Notion. So journaling is a way of looking behind and looking forward. It answers the question, what do I have to show for my time? If I don't document it, I'm going to forget how far I've come because my memory is just terrible. So at the beginning of the day, I write down 2 or 3 things I want to get done that will make me feel accomplished. And then at the end of the day, I can see if I had done those things and feel good about it instead of always feeling like I haven't done enough. It also forces me to plan ahead and make sure that my dailies roll up to my weekly goals, which rolls up to my monthly goals. It's a good mechanism for me to remember what direction I'm going in. So those are the mechanisms I used, but they're only going to work if they actually fit to how you like to operate. So you have to know who you are. Every productivity hack that I'd ever learned has become useless to me after I had a baby 2 years ago. Now I work in spurts because I've learned that I'm just obsessive. When I'm in my flow state, I'll stay up until 3 in the morning to finish a project. And even if I'm physically exhausted the next morning, I'm mentally energized, and that feels great. So instead of fighting how I naturally am, I now pair my spurts of creativity with my North Star goals, so I'm not just aimlessly doing random things. So you have to know yourself, know what drives you and makes you feel rewarded. And that's what helps you figure out how you should structure your free time. I've taken all these personality quizzes over the years at work, like my DISC profile, my Myers-Briggs, StrengthsFinder, and those help me to figure out that public accountability works for me because one of the things that drives me is feeling like people are relying on me and me wanting to show up for them. The other thing I learned about myself is that atomic habits don't work for me as much as I love the concept. Instead of trying to use self-discipline to stick to a habit to reach a goal, I just go all in when I feel like it, and then when I need to rest, I rest. And it feels great to work with how I naturally am instead of against it, and I feel like I got a lot done doing it this way. So working in these creative spurts felt great until I hit a wall. I knew I'd hit a wall at some point because that's just life. And I hit a wall when I went back to pick up jewelry smithing again, which is like metalsmithing but on a smaller scale. When I started, and even now, it's just kind of frustrating. Physical mediums are really slow. I can't brute force my way to done like I can with software. And I can't really take shortcuts, and I've gotten so used to just shipping fast and iterating. But with physical mediums, you can't really do that. And so it forces you to take your time to get it right as you go. Plus, I ran into blockers because I realized that I needed some more materials and supplies that I didn't have. And I had to make the call to spend money on something that I enjoy instead of saving it to make my break last longer. What's the point of making my break last longer if I'm not doing what I actually want to do, right? To be honest though, sometimes I just wanted to give up because I'd get stuck on something or things didn't end up the way that I wanted to. And I would think like, what am I doing? So those are the times when I took a pause and I pivoted and I went back to vibe coding. And that's how I ended up building those 2 apps that I posted videos about. One was a mobile app that plays music based on the vibes of my fitness data with Winamp visualizations. And the other was a desktop app that's controlled by my Aura ring. It was super fun and it kept me building something. So yeah, I'd highly recommend having an activity to fall back on when you're frustrated or feel like what you're currently working on isn't amounting to anything. But building things didn't necessarily mean that I was getting anywhere. By day 15, I felt like my energy was kind of all over the place. I wanted to do everything, but still felt like I didn't have enough time to do it. But because of the 30-day challenge, I still felt like I was making progress on something. Like if I had to go back to work tomorrow, at least I could carry that with me into the future. So having one thing you can build up over time that outlasts the break itself is good. So did I stick to the plan? Ultimately, my goals are to focus on my health, pursue creative hobbies, and build with AI. And looking at the artifacts of the last 30 days, like the apps, the exercise streak, and this little doodad, I'd say yes. My plan for month 1 wasn't about figuring out how to make money or prep for interviews. It was about exploring possibilities and finding my rhythm. And I think I did that. Building was the highlight of my month, but an unexpected artifact has been reconnecting with people from my past. So I expect it to fade into obscurity, but I really appreciate everyone who reached out after my announcement last month, especially my fellow technical program managers and engineers who told me that I was one of the best TPMs you've worked with because, sometimes I still get imposter syndrome, especially after having failed a bunch of interviews. So it's validating to know that, yeah, I'm still a competent TPM. Anyway, with the lessons I've learned from month 1, I have a better idea of what I want to get out of month 2. So we'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching.